Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hariom everyone, welcome back to Booklight. I'll now hand it off to Sahana to take our bhajan for today. Hariom Sahana.
O Gurudev darshan dijo, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. तुम ही हो ब्रह्मा, तुम ही हो विष्णु, तुम ही हो ब्रह्मा, तुम ही हो विष्णु, तुम ही हो शंकर रूपा, तुम ही हो शंकर रूपा. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. सृष्टि स्थिति लय स्वरूप तुम हो, सृष्टि स्थिति लय स्वरूप तुम हो, तुम हो अनादि रूप, तुम हो अनादि रूप. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. अनाथ नाथा दीन बंधु, अनाथ नाथा दीन बंधु, तुम हो आनंद रूपा, तुम हो आनंद रूपा. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. अज्ञान नाशक शरण संरक्षक, अज्ञान नाशक शरण संरक्षक, आत्मज्ञान प्रदाता, आत्मज्ञान प्रदाता. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता. आओ गुरुदेव दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता, तुम हो जगत के दाता.
Thank you, Sahana. Are you ready to chant now? We'll do our chanting now of the verse. Vedo nityam adhiyatam,
वेदो नित्यमधीयताम्,
taduditam karma swanushthiyatam,
तदुदितं कर्म स्वनुष्ठीयताम्,
tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi,
तेनेशस्य विधीयतामपचितिः,
kamye matistyajyatam,
काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम्,
papogah paridhuyatam,
पापौगः परिधूयताम्,
bhavasuke dosho nusandhiyatam,
भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम्,
atmechavyavasiyatam,
आत्मेच्छाव्यवसीयताम्,
nijagrhaturnam vinirgamyatam.
निजगृहातूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्.
Altogether, Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karma swanushthiyatam tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye matistyajyatam papogah paridhuyatam bhavasuke dosho nusandhiyatam atmechavyavasiyatam nijagrhaturnam vinirgamyatam. Hari Om, everyone, and welcome back to Booklight. We are now seeing the sixth sadhana of Sadhana Pancakam. Today, we'll continue our weekly discourse, followed by next week will be our discussion, and then the week following that will be our presentation by the chicks. I say that because we're starting to run out of our regulars, for taking up this discussion. So I'm just going to warn you in advance that many of you have already gone. Doesn't mean that you're safe. If you have not gone yet, beware. You might be voluntold. Before we get started as well, I would also like to say that everyone who is on Zoom, we ask that you please turn your cameras on. So there's a handful of you I can see at the bottom, and I'll do you all, a great favor by not blasting you on Facebook that your cameras are still off. So thank you. Now we're seeing them all come on. Okay. Floor is yours, Shubhani. Hari Om.
Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. So, as Amarji had mentioned, we are on the sixth part of the first verse of Sadhana Pancakam. And the sixth portion says, Bhavasukhe dosho nusandhiyatam. So last session, we had papogah paridhuyatam, which was about shedding our imperfections. This week, or this time, it's about really re-examining life. Bhavasukhe dosho nusandhiyatam. Bhavasukhe means in the pleasures of the world, or in the worldly pleasures. Doshaha, defects, anusandhiyatam. Repeatedly dwell on the defects in the pleasures of the world, or repeatedly dwell on the defects of worldly pleasures. When we see the statement, or when we read the statement, it's kind of morbid, right? Why are we going to want to dwell on defects? Why are we going to want to look at the world and see everything that's wrong with it? Isn't that such a negative attitude? But our Shastra has a very deep purpose. And so first, we'll talk a little bit about defects. Then we'll talk about what the purpose of Shastra is. Why are they asking us to do this? then we will see what kind of defects there are in this world and what will it make us want to do. So first is, nobody likes defects. Nobody likes to see defects. And that's why they're all hidden, right? So when you see someone on Facebook, a guy or a girl, and they look so nice, right? The girl looks really, really good, or the guy looks really awesome. And it's usually because it's their photos taken in this place outdoor where the sun's beaming and the sky is so clear and their hair is like perfect and the clothes are perfect and everything about their looks look amazing. But when we see the actual person, they really don't look like that, right? And we find that sometimes we don't even recognize them, right? They're just so different. Someone who's shown in their LinkedIn profile or Facebook picture or on their Insta, they all look so perfect. But when we see them up close and personal, not so perfect. When we look at food, you know, the designs, the kinds of packaging in food, it looks so perfect and so healthy. But when we look at the nutrition facts, not so healthy. There's just so much sugar in there. There's so much saturated fat in there that it's hidden because of the beautiful packaging. When someone's trying to sign a contract for their apartment or an application, you know, everything comes in big letters, but the stuff they want to hide comes in these small letters, small letters, because they don't want us to see. Because maybe if we see that, we won't buy the apartment or lease the apartment, or maybe we won't apply for that job. Or if we wanted to take a medicine or buy medicines. So medicines will say it relieves your headache, it relieves your stomach ache, but then side effects may cause diarrhea, may cause insomnia, may cause so many things. And so the world is like this, where defects are so small, they're not shown, and people don't want to show it. They don't want to show it because they want us to be so caught up in what the fancy things, the packaging, what it's supposed to look like. They want us to be caught up in the marketing, but they don't want us to be caught up in the actual facts. So in this session, what we're actually going to do is do the reverse. We're going to look at all the defects. And even if all the defects were in small lines, or they were in the side of some bottle, or they were in a picture, we're going to bring all the defects right up front and look at them. And we're going to look at it for what it is so that we can think better. Now, why would our scriptures want us to look at these defects? You see, it's like this, okay? Imagine that we are all ants, okay? So just imagine that we're all ants. And we are all ants, and we are trying to look for sweetness, okay? Because an ant likes sugar. An ant likes sugary sweets. So an ant's trying to look for sweetness. And we see something. We see this pile, and this pile is white, it's powdered, it's refined, and we start searching in there. But only it doesn't taste like sugar. It tastes salty. It looks like sugar. It looks like white. It looks powdery. It looks like sugar. But we keep tasting it, and it's just salty. And we keep tasting it again and again, and it's salty. And we keep thinking that if maybe we go to the end of this, salt pile, maybe sweetness will come. Maybe some sweetness will come. And then Guru and our scriptures say, what are you doing? You're looking for sweetness in the salt pile. That's salt. You're not going to find sweetness there. It's salt. And so we're thinking, oh, it's salt and there's no sweetness there. And the Guru and scriptures are saying, look for sweetness where there is sweetness. And that's in sugar. You will find it in sugar. You will never find it in salt. So don't waste your time, don't waste your energy and effort in the salt pile looking for sweetness. We want you to really enjoy. Guru and scriptures and Shastra, they want us to enjoy this sweetness. They want us to enjoy the sugar. So they're just saying, go in this direction and stop looking in that direction. So what is this salt? This salt is this impermanent world. This impermanent world, which is temporary. We're never going to find permanent joy in the impermanent world. We're never going to find it. So Guru and our scriptures say, we want you to have real joy. So therefore, turn your attention from the world and turn it towards the truth, towards reality, because that's where you'll get permanent joy. So this is why we're looking at the defects. We're looking at the defects so we can just turn our attention from the world to God, because that's where we're going to get the joy, that permanent joy that we're all looking for. Now, how do we do this process? So what are the defects that have been hidden from the world? What are the defects that lie there, which we don't really think about? Last time we were thinking about our defects. Now we're thinking about the world. And there are many, so we'll see how many we can go through. But the first one is what we call this dissatisfaction guaranteed. Okay, so it's DG, dissatisfaction guaranteed. This means that we go through so many experiences in the world, but how many of us are completely satisfied? The person who has 100 wants 1,000. The one who has 1,000 wants 100,000. The one who wants 100,000 wants 1,000,000. The one who has millions wants billions. And it's always like we're going one up, one up, one up. And we come into this sort of scenario where we say, if I have this, then I will be happy. If I have that, then I will be happy. And we come to fit into these if-then equations. Then when will we really be happy? Will we really have everything, and will we really be happy? So think about it. You and I actually have never been happy. We've never really truly been happy. Because every time we've gained something, we just had a moment of peace. Just a moment of peace in the mind. And then it erupts again. We want something else again. It's like food. You know, you eat and you're full for some time, but again, you want to eat. Again, you want to eat. So you and I actually have not been content. We've not been happy. This is called dissatisfaction guaranteed. And there is a shloka from Vairagya Shatakam. So I was reading Vairagya Shatakam because dosho nusandhihtai. Bharatrahari, he writes 100 verses on the defects of the world. So he's really thinking about the defects of the world. So there's this verse that I want to share with you. It's really nice. One or two verses that I'll share with you. And then we will explore more about what is this dissatisfaction guarantee. So first I'll chant the verse and I'll share some thoughts. Bhrantam deshamaneka durga vishamam praptam na kinchit palam tyaktva jati kulabhimanam uchitam seva krita nishpala bhuktam manavivarjitam paragriheshvashankaya kakavata trishne drambasi papa karma pishune nadyapi santushyasi. What he says is, Bhrantam desham aneka durga vishamam praptam na kinchit phalam. He went to He traveled to so many places, so many distant, far and wide places. Obviously not at this point, but he traveled. Some before, people would like these exotic destinations, Greenland, Iceland, Switzerland, all these really, really nice places. And many people would like to go also bungee jumping and skydiving and, surfing, all kinds of things. And people also have a bucket list, right? 10 things we have to do this summer. So he said, I did all of that. I traveled to all of these far and distant lands, which were so exotic, which were so hard to get to. I went there, but I didn't really feel anything. And he said, when I went there, what happened? Tyaktva jati kulabhimana muchitam. What's the first thing that happens when we go on vacation? When we go to these places? First thing we drop is our sadhana. We drop our sadhana. He said, I dropped all of my sadhana. I didn't wake up early because I stayed up late at night. My Sandhya Vandanam, I dropped. My waking up early, I dropped. All of the things which were keeping me very disciplined, all of that, I let go of. And seva krita nishpala. And I was serving people who I didn't even know. I was not praying to God, but I was trying to please people who I didn't even know, because maybe he made friends with people, he met people, he was trying to please them. And he says, Bhuktam mana vivarjitam paragrihe shwashankaya kakavat. He says, kakavat, like a crow, I kept eating in different places. I didn't even know what I was eating. When we go to college, what happens? What we eat, God only knows. Kakavat. There's food that's been there in the fridge for so long. And there's all kinds of things from all kinds of places we eat. There's no discipline in food. There's like sattvic food that we're supposed to eat to keep fit, to stay well. No discipline. I remember when I was visiting a friend from college, after one night, we all went out, and this place that we went to, they had this thing called garbage plate. This is what everybody eats after they go on garbage plate. It's all a bunch of things mixed together, and people eat that. And I said, oh my God, Bharatrahari is so right. This is what we're still doing today. We're still doing this today. So I said, I did all of this. And not only that, when people go out and they hang out with friends, they have this gulab jamu competition and buttermilk competition and try to drink as well, who can drink the most. All of these things happen. And he says, Trishne Drumbhasi Papa Karma Pishune. That all that happened in all of this is my desire increased. My desire increased, and Papa Karma Pishune, and I did so many Papa Karmas. But nadyapi santushyasi. But I did not become content. I did so many wrong things. My desire increased like anything. I did not find contentment. This is what happens. We go through the world doing all of these things that we want to do, getting all these accolades and merits and making all of this money, gaining a high and fast social life, all of that, getting many likes on Facebook or many followers on Instagram. But at the end of the day, we might be moving in terms of wealth or fame or social life, but the real movement is what? It's moving from discontentment to discontentment. That's all. All of this moving up and down, up, in all areas in life, it's only moving discontentment to discontentment. This is all we've moved. This is all we've done. Only the wise person moves from discontentment to contentment. So many things we've done, but dissatisfied. So then one might think, oh man, this world is such a bummer. What do I do then? And in one of the verses, Bharatrahari says so nicely. He says, you see, these two people put forth effort. Okay? A seeker puts forth effort, a spiritual seeker puts forth effort, and a material seeker puts forth effort. Material seeker seeking after all the pleasures of the world. Spiritual seeker seeking God. Now, both of them, they put the same amount of effort. But please see, both of them are doing tapasya. The material seeker, how much tapasya he or she does. You know how much people do tapas to make a lot of money? Or they have to keep a very disciplined life. They have to wake up very early. They have to live a very simple life, save a lot. They have to work many, many hours. They're also doing tapas. Huh? They work many hours. They have to study, take so many exams, especially if they want to invest and all of that. They have to do so many things. They have to meet different people and network. So much effort goes there. But the spiritual seeker is also doing tapas. But what is their tapas? Sadhana. They're doing their japa. They're doing their swadhyaya. They're studying. They're reading Sadhana Pancakam. They're thinking about it. They're also doing tapas. Now the same effort being put. Both are doing tapas. Now both are also doing chintanam. Both are also doing chintanam. Both are really dwelling, single-pointed focus. But the material seeker, single-pointed focus on wealth. How much money do I have in my bank? How much money am I going to make? What's my bank balance? What's my status now? What's the projection 6 months from now? That material seeker is just chintanam on wealth. They have single-pointed focus. They have it, but in wealth. And the spiritual seeker, a single-pointed focus on God or on truth. So both have it. Now, what happens is both are practicing tapas, both are practicing dhyanam, but the material seeker again moves from discontentment to discontentment. So much effort already they're putting, but still they're going towards discontentment. But the spiritual seeker, at least in this process, moves towards contentment. So it's not that we cannot experience the world, or we should not engage in the world. See, what this dosho nusandhiyatam is telling us, that engage in the world, but not for enjoyment. Because I'm not going to get permanent joy from it. Engage in the world for my evolution. What the world can give me is valuable tools for me to evolve, but it cannot give me permanent joy. So thus a spiritual seeker uses the world for evolution. And that is how they move from discontentment to contentment. So the first defect we saw, dissatisfaction, guaranteed, or discontentment, guaranteed when we engage in the world for enjoyment. So this is DG, okay? Now the next one. The next one is AT. Means this world is all association with temporariness. Everything in this world is temporary. And we hear this all the time. So I am not saying anything new. All of you already know this. But the purpose of this session is anusandhiyatam. Anu means repeatedly bring it to the mind, because it has to become our conviction. If it's not our conviction, then we will still hope to get this permanent joy from the world. So association with temporariness. Now this shloka in Bhaja Govindam is also very good for reflecting on doshas. So if anyone feels like doing that, can read Bhaja Govindam. It's a beautiful text. And I know some of you have already read, so I'll read this verse and then we will see how this temporariness is. Yavat vitto parjana saktaha tava nija parivaro raktaha paschat jivati jara jara dehe vartam kopina prichati gehe. So what it says is, as long as one has the capacity to earn, yavat vittaha uparjana saktaha, until that time, all the family will be there with that person. But paschat, after that, jivati jara jara dehe, when that person becomes old and unable to earn anymore, nobody wants to talk to them in the house. Nobody even has time for them. And isn't this true? This is so true about life, that people only use us or are with us until we can give them something. So an older person, let's say this grandpa, has so much wealth. And when this grandpa is earning and, has so much property, so much wealth, so many people will be around this grandpa because they're waiting, hanging around. Some of them are already planning for this grandpa's death. It is true. It happens in all families. It is sad, but it is true. And the minute that grandpa is not able to earn anymore, or the minute that grandpa transfers everything to everybody else, nobody wants to take care of him. Nobody wants to look after him. Nobody wants to speak to him because that wealth is gone. So when something that you have an ability or a talent or a skill, something that you and I have, when it goes, when we are no longer useful, then people also go. Now you see these athletes, right? Athletes, any athlete, as long as they're good, they're healthy, they play well, everybody wants them. But the minute they get into an accident, something happens to them, nobody wants them. They're gone. We can't use you. No more. Sorry. Somebody who has good looks. Everybody wants that person in the cover of a magazine, the cover of a paper. Everyone's asking for that person. The minute that person grows old, no, they can't even be in the back of a magazine. Nobody wants them. They're gone. For us, now we're speaking. The minute we stop speaking, nobody will call us. We're gone. And that's just the way where the world works. That's just the way it is. As long as you and I have something to offer, then there will be many people around. But the minute we don't have it, everybody will go. And it's a fact. So nothing in this world is nothing in this world is permanent. Everything is temporary. If you look at a lot of our relationships, most of them are based on this only. We could get something from that person could get something out from us, and that's why we were in that relationship. Whatever it is, be a friendship or be a team or a group, that is all it is. And what to talk about our possessions? Everything goes. Well, we know, especially now in this pandemic, how many things went. Money went, jobs went, people, homes went. Everything was lost in minutes. So for some people, minutes. For some people, moments. Things just come and they just go. They just come and they just go. So it keeps changing. We cannot understand this world. It's so incredibly temporary. And its temporariness, the irony is that its temporariness is like never ending. The samsara, it's temporary, changing, but this changing is like endless. It's like never ending. This is what it is. So this is another defect, that everything just keeps changing. Now we look at another defect. Another defect is what? AP. AP means association with pain. Association with pain. Now in this samsara, in this world, even the sukha, even the joy is laced with sorrow. Even the so-called joy that we have, there is some sorrow hidden there. Our teacher in the Vedanta course, our Acharya, he used to say that joy is nothing but sorrow with makeup. He just has makeup. Just wait, and the sorrow will come. it will come at the right moment. And that is very true if we think about it. And so there is this, again, one in Vairagya Shatakam. He says, Bhoge Roga Bhayam. He says, in enjoyment, when we're enjoying so much, let's say there's a family festival, there's Thanksgiving, or there is now 4th of July is coming up. All of these things we like to engage in bhoga. We like to enjoy, let's enjoy, let's eat, let's, do all of these things. What's the fear there? Roga, fear of disease. Fear that if we overeat, something might happen. Fear if we eat too many cold things, we might get a cough. Fear that if we, drink something too much, then something will happen to us. In enjoyment also there is fear, and this is so true now, right? If people want to go outside, there is constant fear. Is it going to be safe? Is it going to be safe? How is it going to be? So even in enjoyment, in wanting to enjoy, there's a fear that something could happen to my health because I want to engage in so much pleasure. Then he says, Khule chuti bhayam. And when somebody has gained a lot of social status, people like to gain status and they gain a new position and everything. In that also there's fear. There's fear that what if I don't live up to it? What if I make a mistake? What if I fall? So there is some kind of joy that I gain this status, but there's some kind of fear. What if I fall? So again, there's fear. Then he says, Vitte nripalad bhayam. For somebody who earns so much money, they're afraid that it might get stolen. And so they have so much security in their house and they're always insecure. The ones who have so much wealth are the ones who are the most insecure. They have so many security guards because they constantly thinking somebody might steal from them. So, vitte nripalad bhayam. Mane denya bhayam. When somebody is, very honorable, somebody is a specific stature and honorable, they're afraid that maybe people might humiliate them and people might put them down and their respect might go down. They don't like that because they have a certain, respect that they keep for themselves. They don't like when people humiliate them or talk down to them. They're afraid of that. They don't want that. So they don't put themselves in that situation. Mane dainya bhayam. Bale ripu bhayam. People who are strong, physically strong or mentally strong, they're afraid of opponents. They're afraid that somebody could be stronger than them. So they've gained strength mentally, physically. They put themselves as a great, at a great place. But what if there's a competitor? Now what do I do? There's fear. Then Rupe, Jarabhaya. Those who have good looks, they have very beautiful looks, very handsome looks, and they're preserving their six-pack or whatever, their figure, preserving it. They're afraid of old age. Their whole life goes into how do I make myself look younger so that nothing else is shown, So they cannot even enjoy that good looks. I can't even enjoy that. Shastre vadi bhayam. Those who engage in Shastra, or those who know Shastra so much, they're afraid of people arguing or countering them. So they say in all of these things, there's a drop of fear. There's fear everywhere. So where is their joy? How can there be joy in this world when in every single joy there is sorrow mixed? This is a defect. Can you believe, if you really think, have you and I actually experienced 100% pure joy? Just think. Have we ever experienced 100% pure joy? It was always laced with something. It was always mixed with something. It could have been fear. It could have been worry. Sometimes we're even like, this is too good to be true. It could be anxiety. Yeah, it is true. This is the experience of the world. This is what it is. So now we have seen 3 defects. Dissatisfaction guaranteed. we have seen association with temporariness, AT, we have seen association with pain. Is there more? There is a lot more, but we don't have the time to go through all of the more. So maybe I will just mention one more, and then, then those who are going to speak, you all will have to think about a lot more. One final one I will share with you is DI. It drains instruments. When we engage in the world for pleasure, again, so when we engage for our enjoyment, not for our evolution, it drains our instruments. It drains our mental strength, our physical strength, our vigor, our memory. It drains all of that. Imagine if you and I, we wanted to stay out late one night, just not unnecessarily, just enjoy it, unnecessarily, maybe once in a while, okay, but we keep doing this again and again and again, keep doing it again and again and again. The next day, we are all drained. We wake up very late. The sadhana is missed. We are so sloppy. The memory is so dull. The smartness, alertness is not there. The whole system is drained because it's too much of enjoyment. It drains you out. So the best of you and I, it cannot come out. It won't come out. And I understand once in a while, everybody does all these kinds of things. But again and again, if we engage for that enjoyment, again, these things will happen. Everything will get drained. So this is what happens in the world. Now, why are we looking through these defects so carefully? Why are we examining them? We are examining them because this cultivates what we call viveka. Viveka means discrimination between the permanent and impermanent. So when we get viveka, or this discrimination, what happens is we become very clear that this is permanent, all of this is impermanent. The self is the only thing permanent. The entire world is impermanent. When we examine, we gain this deep clarity, viveka. When this viveka comes, we get vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion, detachment, or independence. It really means that absence of desire for the world. Then I don't want to pursue the world anymore for permanent joy. That absence of desire, absence of wanting the world for permanent joy, that is called vairagya. That is the result of that. That is why we are looking at these defects of the world. And finally, what happens then after vairagya is I realize that I don't desire the world because I'm not going to get what I want from it. Therefore, atmecha vyavasiyata. Therefore, I want the self. I want what's permanent. And that is called mumukshutva. And that is the next topic of Sadhana Pancakam, about that desire for the self. So the desire for the self only comes, really speaking, when we have viveka and vairagya. If this viveka and vairagya don't come, nobody will really want the truth. So therefore, this dwelling on the defects is such an essential step for a seeker. As crazy as it sounds, it will give one a lot of peace when we realize that what our teachers, what our scriptures want us to do is to dwell on defects, not to make us feel bad or depressed or sad, but because they really want to say, stop looking there. whatever you want, it's in here. Start looking here. And this dwelling on the defects is going to help you turn your attention to come here. Okay? So with this, we conclude Bhavasukhe Dosho Nusantiya Dha. Right? So now, if anyone has any questions, you can ask, and if I know the answer, I will try and help you. Okay, Vaibhav. Yes, Vaibhav, do you want to type it on chat? Or do you prefer to ask?
Hariom Shubhani ji.
Hariom.
I wanted to ask, you had mentioned in DG discontentment to contentment, that transition of living. But what is the way, or how do you know when you're truly feeling contented? Because when we have goals, we keep on trying to achieve those goals because we're not satisfied with our current state, what we're currently doing in our lives. But doesn't that also kind of lead to discontentment because we're not satisfied with where we are currently? So we keep trying to achieve more and more. So how do you know that you're truly on that path to contentment?
So you see, in terms of goals, it works like this, okay? In Bhaja Govindam, it says very beautifully, be content with whatever we receive. So whatever it is we receive from the world, from everybody, be content with that. But when it comes to what we can give, be discontent. This is a different context. What we can give, become discontent, because we can always expand, we can give more. So in terms of setting goals, know that you and I can give more, we can do more, we can be more. But in terms of what we receive, be content. So this is contentment in a different context, okay? And a point in time will come when, after we have expanded ourselves so much, we've given so much, expanded ourselves so much, a point in time will come when we will say, okay, now I'm ready to just be. I'm ready to just be. And when that point comes, then really speaking, you and I let go of everything and we become actual instruments of the divine. So what happens first? First, whatever we receive from the world, be content with it. Second, whatever we can give to the world, be discontent with it. Third point, some point in time will come when we have expanded ourselves, given so much that now we say, okay, enough now, I'm ready to be. And truly speaking, that's when the divine will come and live through us. Is that clear? Okay, but there's another question here on chat. I think I can bring to mind the defects of physical objects with a good amount of effort and practice. However, I struggle with understanding the defects of subtler things like useless and indulgent patterns of thought or daydreaming. How can I see the defects of subtler things like this? Now, this we have to examine. So this we have to say, for example, useless and indulgent patterns of thoughts or daydreaming. Now, what will daydreaming do? I mean, it's such a waste of time, right? It's such a waste of time because you're just thinking of imagining something, imagining if this happens, I'll be happy. If that happens, I'll be happy. This is different from visualizing, from actual visualizing for some higher goal. That's a very different thing. That's a very productive thing. But this nonsense daydreaming, you think about it, what does it actually get us? It's just a waste of time. How much will our thought patterns go here and go there? So you and I have to really take a moment and examine. So all of these things that I told you, DG and AT and AP, I also had to really sit and think, because until you and I sit and think, it won't hit us. So you see, you have to do your own mananam on it. And that's why Vedanta sometimes is hard, because it's a lot of thinking. It's just a lot of thinking. So you try that. Try examining yourself and seeing. Okay? And then you can share with us also. So we can learn. Okay? Okay. Neetu, yes, you have a question?
Hariom Shubhani ji, I just have a quick question. You said engage with the world not for enjoyment but for evolution. Can you just explain more a bit about what you mean by that and how exactly we can practice that mentality of engaging for evolution versus enjoyment?
Okay, I'll give you a very basic example. Just take food, for example. Okay, so there are two ways we can eat. One is we can eat with our tongue. Say, oh my gosh, this is gonna taste so good, you know, and it could be the most unhealthy pizza, the most unhealthy ice cream and soda and all of that, but we just want to taste it. Or we can say, listen, you know, I need to eat, obviously, because I need to live. So let me pick something that's actually going to nurture this body so I can do my work well. And I can be more alert and more active and be more energetic in my day. So food is there, but one side is I'm going to pursue it for enjoyment. The other side is I'm going to pursue it for evolution, you know, so that it can help me evolve. So like that, when I interact with the world, if I keep in mind, is this going to increase my vitality, my energy? Is this going to make me sharper? Is this going to make me evolve? Then okay, I must do it. But if it's going to make me devolve, make me weaker, make me duller, then why engage in it? Right? So this is how to think about it. Huh? Is that clear? Okay. Any final question? Okay. Yes, Veba. Yes. Yeah.
Hariom Shubhani ji. Earlier in the beginning of the session, you had said to not find sweet in salt, you only find sweet in where you can, where sugar or something that are sweet. Does that also apply in the context of people as well, where you have only so many, you can only learn to forgive so much in a person without until you have to move on eventually, and you know, find that compassion in other people?
Really speaking, every person is salt only. You will never find sweetness in any person. You won't find it. That sweetness, that permanent joy, it doesn't happen in any relationship whatsoever. It's not there. The only relationship you'll get, it is in the relationship with God. So that's where you should look for it. But that doesn't mean that relationships don't mean anything. They help us evolve. So if we are engaged in relationships for the pursuit of evolution, for the purpose of evolution, then that is okay. But don't for 1 second think that somebody will give me permanent joy. This relationship will give me permanent joy. This person will give me permanent joy. You will fail. We will all fail. They will not give us joy, permanent joy. So that relationship should be for evolution. Okay. All right. So I will pass it now to Amarji, and whoever is speaking, I hope you can show us many, many, many more defects to reflect on. Okay. Over to you, Amarji.
We'll say concluding prayer, and then we'll part. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.